Today's verse. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Matthew 5-7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. In other words, blessed are those who show mercy, because they will receive mercy. This is one of the Beatitudes, which is part of the Sermon on the Mount. It's found in Matthew chapters 5-7. This was one of Jesus' most famous sermons, if not his most famous sermon, and it contained this collection of promises known as the Beatitudes. So how should we understand this verse? Let's break it down. First, let's consider what it means to be merciful. Then let's talk about what it means to obtain mercy. And then we'll look at the application of this verse in our lives today. First, let's consider the word blessed. The original word in the Greek actually means happy or fortunate. So, a better translation would be, happy are the merciful. Happy are the merciful. Now, in the Old Testament, blessed was a common way of expressing well-being, happiness, prosperity, health, or even an expression of praise and thanks. So throughout Scripture, when someone was considered blessed, it meant that they were truly happy and fortunate. Now, if you've ever felt like your life wasn't going well, that things were bad, that life was hard, that you weren't happy or fortunate, then you know that just being told you're blessed doesn't really help. We want more than just empty platitudes. We want to know that God is with us. And that's what these Beatitudes do. These are more than just platitudes. They are promises from God Himself. In the first Beatitude, Jesus said, "Happy are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." In the second Beatitude, He said, "Happy are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." And in the third Beatitude, He said, "Happy are those who are meek, for they shall inherit the earth." And now, in the fourth Beatitude, He says, "Happy are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." What does this mean? To be merciful means to have compassion. It means to be kind. It means to be slow to anger. It means to forgive others. It's basically synonymous with showing kindness, sympathy, compassion, forgiveness. Now, when you think of yourself and your own life, who comes to mind when you think of the people you've shown mercy to, shown compassion to, shown kindness to, shown forgiveness to? Does anyone come to mind? Do you remember the person you forgave? Do you remember the person you showed mercy to? Because I don't think most of us can really remember all of the times we've shown mercy. Because mercy is supposed to be given freely, willingly, cheerfully, without expecting anything in return. So if we had to think hard about it, we probably wouldn't be able to name very many people we've shown mercy to. But thank God that's not what this verse is talking about. What this verse is talking about is not how many people we've shown mercy to in the past. What this verse is talking about is our attitude towards others, our desire and willingness to show mercy. And so Jesus said, "Happy are those who are merciful, because they will receive mercy." Now, before we move on, I need you to know this, that this verse is not saying that good people will receive mercy. If that's what this verse was saying, then only religious people would be saved. Only people who did enough good things would receive God's mercy. But that's not what this verse is saying. This verse is simply saying that those who have faith in Jesus Christ will receive mercy. And yes, people who have faith will be merciful. They'll be kind, they'll be compassionate, but their salvation isn't dependent upon them being merciful. Their salvation is dependent upon their faith. And I can't emphasize enough how important that truth is. Why? Well, because no one is good enough to earn God's mercy. No one is kind enough, compassionate enough, merciful enough to earn God's mercy. Only by grace are we saved through faith alone in Jesus Christ. But here's why this verse matters. Because if we have true faith, if we have true belief in Jesus Christ, then it will produce within us a heart that is filled with mercy and compassion and kindness and forgiveness. And that is the second part of this verse, that blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Yes, everyone needs God's mercy. We all deserve God's mercy. And apart from God's mercy, we would all perish. But this verse is also saying that those who have faith will also be merciful. They'll be kind, they'll be compassionate, they'll be slow to anger, they'll be quick to forgive. And that is a beautiful thing. Let me illustrate this with a story. There was a man who was a volunteer at a soup kitchen, and he was there almost every day, serving meals to the homeless and those who were hungry. And one day he noticed this little boy. He was about 8 years old, and he was there almost every day getting a meal. And the man asked the director of the soup kitchen if he knew anything about this little boy, and the director said, "Yeah, I know that he lives across town. He walks about 2 miles every day to get to the soup kitchen to get a meal." And this man thought to himself, "Wow, I can't believe a parent would allow their 8-year-old to walk 2 miles every day to get a meal." So a few days later, after the little boy came back again, he decided he was going to ask the little boy some questions. And he sat down next to him while they were eating, and he asked him, "Hey, where are your parents? Where do you live?" And the little boy told him, "I live across town. I walk 2 miles every day to get a meal." And the man said, "Well, why don't you tell me where you live, and I'll drive you home?" And the little boy said, "You won't let me come live with you, will you?" And he said, "Of course not. Why would I do that?" And the little boy said, "Because you're kind." And then the man realized that he was wrong. He realized that he had misjudged this little boy, that he had misjudged this situation, and he realized that it was actually his lack of compassion, his lack of mercy, his lack of kindness that was keeping him from seeing the truth of the situation. And he took the little boy home that day and became his foster parent and eventually adopted him and gave him the life he deserved. Friends, let's remember that Jesus came to show us mercy, to show us compassion, to show us kindness. He came to be our substitute, to bear our punishment, to pay our debt so that we could receive mercy from God. Let's remember that we're only saved by God's mercy. And let's also remember that if we have true faith, then our hearts will be filled with mercy, with kindness, with compassion, with love, with forgiveness, because that's who Jesus is, and we're called to be like him. Father, thank you for your great mercy. Thank you for sending Jesus, who is our mercy, into the world so that we could receive mercy from you. Help us to be merciful, kind, compassionate, slow to anger, and quick to forgive, because we are all sinners saved by grace through faith alone in Jesus Christ. If you're here and you've never trusted Jesus, I urge you to do so right now. Put your faith in Jesus Christ alone for salvation. And if you're here and you're a believer, I encourage you to walk out into the world today and show mercy, show compassion, show kindness to those around you. Let's go out and be Jesus to a lost and dying world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to share it with someone else. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another upload. And finally, make sure to follow us on social media so we can continue the conversation.